Hello and welcome back to the finish line. And this is not deja vu. This is not Sunday again. This is another episode of Talking Points. But today we're going to be talking about everything that's been going on over the last 36 to 48 hours about the pitcher, Gordon Elliott, what more or less the facts that we've heard so far. But before we get into this, a bit of news that I actually got off Hollywood Bets today.
What news?
Did I tell you?
Good news for this podcast. Bloody hell, fantastic.
They're sponsoring the whole Dundalk card on Friday, which has their listed patent stakes. So,
no.
In kind of celebrate, yes, I knew you'd be all happy for this.
I told you to do this ages ago.
And in celebration of this, the Punters Challenge, it's not €300. It's not €400. It's €500 stay. So it's now up to €500 for Friday. So instead of first 6 places, up to the first 15. So as you can see in front there, first 125 as always, second 75, third 50, fourth 40, fifth 30, sixth 25, 7th to 10th get 20, 11th to 15th get 15. So as always, all you need is an active Hollywood Bets account, .ie or .co.uk. Links will be in the description. Once you have that done, head over to punters.hollywoodbets. Punters.hollywoodbets.com. I'm all over the place now. And you just register your name, what you want to be called on the board, and so on. Look, it's free to enter, free to play. You get a chance to win a bit of cash for a really good card I was looking at the other day this morning. And we will be previewing the patent stakes, the listed race, which Tom is all excited about. I can tell by him. We'll be previewing that on Wednesday, and we're giving our best bets and next best for that as well, as long with the weekend racing. So again, descriptions, everything will be in the description below, and you can find out all the information you need there. Oh, and they have also gone, if you're registered and you meet terms and conditions, you usually get a €5 free bet for .ie customers every time you just enter. So for this week, you get a €10 free bet. So another little bonus for you.
Lovely. That wasn't what I was getting so excited about, by the way. We're gonna have to work on this a little bit more.
What were you getting excited about?
I was getting excited about something else, but yeah.
What is it? Tell me.
I'm expecting the finishing line 0 to 65 handicap at some stage.
Did you not just hear me? We're going previewing the card.
What we're going previewing?
We previewed that card.
Yeah, I know, but I'm half expecting the Hollywood Bets proud to sponsor the finishing line handicap. Come on, Hollywood Bets. The name of the race. We need a name. We need a race named after us now. Hollywood Bets. Come on.
Rolls off the tongue, don't it?
It's fantastic.
Our jackets. Look, jackets came today.
I know. The jackets are great, right? People are just waiting for this Gordon stuff. They're not enjoying this promotion here at Lustig.
So
I'm just reading the comments, right? Where do you start? There's just so much gone everywhere.
Look, if you've been living under a rock for the last 2.5 days, picture circulating of Gordon Elliott of a Saturday evening came that he was sitting on a dead horse, sitting like this with a phone in his hand, arguing back and forth between people. This is fake, this is real, so on and so forth. The statement came out from the IRHB that this is all under investigation, so on and so forth. That's the first thing that put out in your mind that this is real. Then Gordon came out and put out a statement more or less saying he's going to cooperate with the IRHB and all the investigation going on. What more do you want to say? This is going where we don't want it to go. Then last night, just as we came off air for Talking Points, another statement came out from Gordon, which, in my opinion, was probably one of the worst statements I've ever read in my life. It's the way he worded it, the way he in my opinion, he's kind of trying to belittle people by what he's saying, that he was, I forgot the horse was there. I was sat down to take a call. I was only 10 lads, I'll be on the phone 2 minutes, whatever. Like, the sand gallop that the horse was lying on is huge. Sit next to it, sit down. Don't sit in the horse, don't act the dope. And then just before we came on, I'm just going to get the facts into it before we start giving our view on it. Just before we came on, the HRB put out a statement that he is banned from entering horses in the UK pending the investigation from the IRHB. So unless this is sorted in the next few days, there will be no Gordon Elliott horses running at Cheltenham or any meeting in the UK. Tom, where do we start?
We didn't get to address it last night, so I think we start with the photo itself. And personally, my reaction when I saw it. Anyone who watches the show will know I'm a pretty balanced and skeptical person. My initial reaction was that it wasn't real. You see photoshopped images all the time now. Initial reaction was it definitely wasn't real. I told you guys that. And the more you looked at it, I said, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be hard to be a Photoshop. It just didn't look like a normal Photoshop. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of listened to, I said this to you guys as well. People are, if you're getting to the stage where you're zooming into 1,000 pixels or whatever it is to try and tell if a photo's fake, that means it's pretty real. It could be real. So I start listening to the noise going on around things and who's making what noise. The IHRB statement at 7:30 on a Saturday, for me, set alarm bells ringing. That's not usual. And then I spoke to a few people who were all saying the same thing, that it was real. Nobody was telling me it was false that would have any inkling. And then on Sunday, I was getting told from fairly decent sources that it was true. So I don't know. I've kind of had a bit of time now, and even on the show yesterday, I wasn't like, "Oh, I hope it's not real." I've had a bit of time to settle in that it is real. Just think it's vulgar. It's sick. It's deranged, really. I've never seen a picture of a human sitting on a dead horse, let alone a licensed trainer. Mm-hmm. My background is horses. That's why I'm into horse racing. I love horses. We did an article, Andrew, the other week for Hollywood Bets, and they asked us to write a few words about ourselves. And my first thing was, I'm a horse lover. That's why I'm into horses. I've unfortunately had horses that I've owned died. I unfortunately rode a horse on the gallops once at a yard, and it broke its leg under me. Shattered its leg, and he had to be put down. The whole yard was devastated. He hadn't even run the horse. It wasn't like we were losing a grade 1 star. It was just a horse who hadn't even run, and everybody was devastated. I just don't see how, in any case that you're stood next to a horse who's just died, that you want to go put your leg over it and sit on it. And it's just that bit that gets me. I can't get my head around that. Yeah, go on.
It's as you said, the second I seen the image, you're thinking, what are you doing? Like, who in the right mind does this? And second, who in the right mind poses for a picture? And thirdly, you're Gordon Elliott. You're one of the biggest trainers in the world. Have a bit of cop on, have a bit of respect for the horses that are giving you your living. Like, as you said, we've had the privilege of spending time in racing yards for a while. Horses are treated like kings in every yard. This is including Gordon's yard. They're treated like kings. We're not saying anything like this. What's baffling me is we're trying to put across our love for the horse racing every week. This is why we do the podcast. This is why we try put it across as fun. It's for everyone. Now we're put in a situation where we're coming out to try defend our sport that we love, the horses that we love, because of someone doing something stupid like this. Like, we've talked today about a Joe Duffy show where there's every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming out and they're all experts all of a sudden. And this is what drags racing through the ringer, is people like this coming out and saying, oh, I have 3 cats, blah, blah, blah. And then you're put back to them, right, if this is your 3 cats and someone took a picture of them dead and standing next to them, how would you feel? Oh, well, that's a different story altogether. No, it's not a different story altogether. They're animals. That's how you feel, and this is how the person that owns the horse feels. It's just wrong. It's everything about it is wrong. Like, you have the people saying, "Oh, the horse is dead anyway." If this was someone like the situation that happened with Maradona, the people taking the pictures when Maradona was dead, this is kind of the exact same thing. It's just wrong. I don't know how you can defend it.
It's, just to go back to the picture, I think why people as well are going to be so outraged with the picture in the general public, if we say outside of the racing bubble. Don't get me wrong, the racing bubble seems to be all on the same line about this. There's been not a lot said of Irish trainers and Irish jockeys, and I can kind of understand that. Ireland, the Irish racing thing is a very small place. I can kind of understand that, but we've had French trainers come out, we've had UK trainers come out, and I think the main problem with the photo for me is, and I'm not saying it was taken in this way, but it reminds me of one of those trophy hunter photos from people killing wild animals in Africa and posing for a photo with them. I'd be 100% sure that that's not what happened. That is not what happened at all. But it looks like that, and this is the problem. It's how it looks. You can compare it to other things as well. I've heard a lot of that going on today, but the problem is there isn't a photo of that doing the rounds, is there?
Yeah. As you said, the comparison there is the one that happened recently between Charles Burns. But the difference is between Charles Burns and Gordon is Gordon has admitted that he done it, and there hasn't been a picture or video circulating of Charles doing anything wrong, and he's denied it. But he's been found guilty. There's nothing he can do about it.
Well, there's no evidence that Charles Burns roped that horse. He was never even accused of it, I don't think. And he was found guilty of leaving his horse alone. He's found guilty of negligence, and I think we'll come back to that later on, because I think there's a few examples of bans and suspensions in Irish racing recently that tie into this, and I know that is speculating, but I think we're probably going to have to speculate on that later. Yeah. But I just think the photo is just horrible. It's just, and as a horse lover, it's just horrible. And I put some pictures on Twitter today because I haven't tweeted about it, and I just don't. I spent last night and I spent this morning not really knowing what to say, so I just said nothing, which I think is probably the best thing. And then I saw a lot of trainers and people were putting up pictures of them with their horses, and I said that's quite a nice thing to do. So I did that because the people who disrespect horses and disrespect their dead bodies and sit on them to take phone calls, they are in the 1%. It's like every walk of life, every industry, every walk of life. We all have a 1%, and as a general rule, that is not racing. And I think that leads us on to, and what I want to say as well is that also leads us on to Gordon Elliott's yard, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any dispute here that Gordon Elliott is a very, very, very good racehorse trainer. His statistics prove it. The way his horses look at the races prove it. The way his horses run prove it. I don't think it's purely my opinion. I don't think there's a widespread mistreatment of horses going on at Gordon Elliott's yard. You do not become a top racehorse trainer with stats like that and horses running like that and horses looking like that for that to happen. Before anyone lambastes me here, I'm not defending his actions. I'm just saying, because I feel a lot for the staff actually. The staff are going to get dragged through the mud with this, and everybody's going to get slapped with the same brush. And that's not fair on them at all. And I do feel sorry for them. I would say, realistically, there's going to be job losses, and it's tough on them. I do not see. I don't think Gordon Elliott's a widespread abuser of horses. I do think he made a mistake. I would give it to him that it's a mistake. It's a huge mistake.
Is it an unforgivable mistake?
Well, that leads us on, doesn't it? Okay, if I owned a horse that was trained by Gordon Elliott, I would have moved it this morning. It wouldn't be for me. And this leads us on to then the people who are owning horses there. I really do think it reflects on you if you're willing to keep a horse there when you know that your trainer could potentially sit on it and take a phone call if it dies and post a picture. It just doesn't sit well in my book. I'd be gone, but that's my personal opinion. I'm sure there are owners who have left. I'm sure there are owners who will stay. And I'm sure there are owners who are waiting a few days to see what happens. They're all entitled to do that. I think the people who are going to be under pressure are the people who have businesses. Michael O'Leary said he's staying. Not too surprising as Michael O'Leary, isn't it?
Betfair dropped him very, very swiftly.
Yeah, Chiefly Parker said they're waiting to see what happens. Like, that's an implication for them. They were a very big stud in Newmarket. Like that's implications on them. And I'd be interested to see what happens. It's mad when you're looking at Betfair and saying Betfair are providing the morals that we'd like to see a lot of others provide. Betfair were very categorical, and they said it just doesn't. While they accept he made a mistake and he's made an apology and taken responsibility for it, it doesn't stick with their core values. And that would be my position on it as well.
Yeah, I echo that 100%. If I had a horse and training with Gordon, doesn't sit well with me at all. Look, as Tom said, this is nothing in towards the staff at Gordon's whatsoever. Staff and the stable lads and stable lasses, as I said, treat the horses they look after like kings and queens. There's no two ways about it. Yes, it's a momentary lapse of ridiculously bad judgment out of Gordon. And he's admitted it. Whether he's admitted in the right way is people's opinion. I think it was an absolutely shambolic statement he put out. Absolutely shambolic. I think it made things worse than better. And him being active on social media today as well is another kick in the stones for a lot of people. And for him to block the comments and say, you don't have a right to say anything about me, which is another thinking he's above board and be above everyone. What I thought was very bad was the BHA made a decision quicker than the IRHB. That baffles me. How is it taking this long to make a decision on it?
Now, I can agree with that. They're actually conducting an investigation. The BHA are making decisions based on their rules and just saying no, and that's very easy for them to do.
But they've probably known of this before we've known of it. They've probably got word of it and circulation of it before anyone else has. They've had a good 3-4 days, 3.5 days to investigate it.
It takes time, and I'm not going to knock them for it. You have to go through due process. You legal wise, all these things take time, because you do, like the Charles Burns case is like what, 2.5 years ago, something like that, when it actually happened. We can't let it take that long, but I will give them a few days for due process. I will afford them that. I would say about the BHA, if this was the other way around, and the IHRB were releasing statements on a kind of 2 or 3 hourly basis, while the BHA were conducting an investigation, I feel there wouldn't be too many pleasantries coming from the BHA side. They released a statement. Just wait until it's done. I don't think Gordon Elliott's going to make entries for Musselburgh at the weekend, lads. Like, you know, we are talking about Cheltenham here. We're not stupid. You know, just give it a day or two. I think they could chill out a little bit now and let the IHRB conduct their investigation.
Saying that takes maximum Friday till anything comes to light of what their investigation pulls out. Where does that leave the owners that have runners in Cheltenham, the likes of Cheveley Park? Do they wait that long for worst case scenario he gets a suspended license?
Well, I think we've got that answered. The BHA have come out and said he can't have runners in Britain while this is going on. And by that, I don't feel I think if the IHRB come out and say, oh, you're free to go, Gordon, you haven't committed any offence, nothing's wrong, I don't think the BHA are going to turn around and change their mind. It's damaged limitation for them at the minute. Cheltenham was a disaster for them last year for things that were not their fault. Yeah. The issues going on over there, issues going on over here. They do not need Gordon Elliott at Cheltenham Racecourse, and they do not need winners in his name, is the reality of it. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. But they're not going to let him have runners. If you're an owner with that in that yard and you've got a horse going to Cheltenham, you need to make a decision. Are you going to move that horse, or are you going, or are you not going to run at Cheltenham? Now, for me, it was an easy decision whether my horse is a 40 rated flat horse or a 140 rated jumper. It's a moral decision. Cheltenham kind of goes out the window if we're just that focused on Cheltenham around a moral issue like this, and an issue of integrity. Then
it then brings you into
I don't
want my name associated with that. That's what you're kind of getting at there. It's I want runners, but I don't want them under Gordon's name.
Yeah, look, I imagine this week we will see horses moving. I've nothing been told to me or anything that's reliable anyway. I've heard all the rumours, but I imagine we'll see horses moving this week in the next couple of days. I imagine there's already horses left, just not the big names. But it's going to take you. So the process is going to take a few days at least for the IHRB. The rule that we're looking at is Rule 272 in the rule book, and that's bringing racing into disrepute, basically. It's pretty obvious he's done that to me. We'll see what the IHRB think. That is what that's what will be happening. They'll be charging him under that rule if they charge him. He then has the right to an appeal. And this is why we see Charles Burns with horses still running, because he appealed. So I think that will take us at least a month in Ireland. But this is kind of irrelevant now because we've seen what the BHA have had to say about it. Just on bans, while we're speculating, this Rule 272 is also what Emmett Mullins was banned under over the summer. So he received a 3-month ban from going to the races and a €5,000 fine. That was for he went up to the gate to get in, and his barcode was wrong, and then he appeared in the parade ring. So somehow he got into the racecourse unauthorized, and they charged him with bringing racing into disrepute. And they believe that was worthy of a 3-month ban and a €5,000 fine. So I think we've got to look at where does what has happened here with Gordon Elliott and this image getting circulated, where does that fit in to there?
That's surely.
We've also got Charles Burns, who has been given a 6-month ban for leaving his horse unattended for half an hour.
Yeah.
For not being responsible for his horse. So where does this fit in there? I think we're over the Emmett Mullins case anyway. There's some, I should say as well, like, look, there's some people who literally want to throw the book at him. I've considered it, not going to lie. I just think it's sick. It's horrible. I don't like it at all. The image that is and the action. But the punishment's got to fit the crime, hasn't it? Let's look at it. Murderers get, 15 years in Ireland. People get suspended from sport for months for drugging horses when they're proved to have done it, or for years. So I think the punishment has got to fit the crime. Let's not go overboard on this, guys. But yeah, it's tough. What do you think about that?
If we're realistic, if we're going on Charles Burns and everything like that, and we put Gordon's then on top of that, minimum, I'd say a year and a half before he'll have a runner again. That's just off the top of my head. They're not going to ban him for life. They're not going to ban him off every race course for the rest of his life. Look, he made one stupid mistake, a very, very, very bad decision. Do we give him time to prove that he'll never do it again? Do you give him a second chance? My opinion, probably yeah. He's never done anything like this before. As you said at the start of the show, he's proven his record of being a good trainer, of looking after horses. His stable staff are one of the best in Ireland. But then you look at it, how far is he at the dragon racing through the mud? There's so many ways to evaluate what's going on and how you handle it. But at the end of the day, no matter what happens, people are going to say, "Oh, that's not long enough," or people are going to say, "Oh, sure, that's too much."
There's going to be wide-ranging things. I've literally heard things from, "Nah, he's done nothing wrong," to ban him for life. So there's wide-ranging opinions. The other, if you flip it this way, it's a different conversation. If your veterinary surgeon is with your dog when it dies, and a couple of years later a picture of it emerges on social media, are you expecting that veterinary surgeon to still be open in a couple of months? Probably not.
No, you'd expect them to be shut down on the spot, really, wouldn't you?
You kind of would. And would you expect people still to bring their dogs to that veterinary surgeon? I don't think you would.
No.
And we're not on about killing any animals. We're on about posing for photos on dead animals. I just don't. I think racing, sometimes we get into this. It's grand. It's fine. Forget about it. And it's not really.
Is it the whole Irish persona? Like, I'm Irish, and we're renowned for saying, sure, look, it's grand.
We are, and being, Jesus, God, didn't think we'd get into this, but being an English person who lives in Ireland, it's very much an sure, it's grand attitude, which I have to say, 99% of the time is absolutely fantastic. It's the best attitude to have. But sometimes we let stuff go like this. We do it in politics. We do it in big business. We do it in banking. We do let things go like this. So I don't think we will this time, though. I think the IHRB know they need to act. Just one thing there, I just saw a few people in the comments, and one question was coming up a lot. And it says, Tom, as an owner, how difficult is it to move horses? And what are
You're like me
now. What are the logistics on timing? So this is a good question. A question that's come up. I've seen come up an awful lot. if you have a horse that's going to run in Cheltenham in a couple of weeks, and you ring any trainer in the UK or Ireland or France and say, "Can I move my horse to you?" They're going to say yes. They're gonna say yes. It would take a day to transport the horse, depending on where you're going, obviously. Now, traditional practice horse would move into like an isolation yard for a couple of weeks, just to make sure its health is in good order as it's coming from a different yard. And that would be normal practice before they moved into the main yard. Look, this is unprecedented. We've never seen a licensed trainer sitting on a dead horse before. So all bets are off now, I think, really. So as far as this happening is concerned, I definitely think it can happen. If it was me, I'd move them in. I'd keep them in a yard near my main yard, obviously, or there'll be areas of your main yard that you can isolate horses or a group of horses. Also take into account they're coming from Gordon Elliott's. Gordon Elliott's are not running like they're sick. He had a 4-timer today. You would take necessary precautions, but I would train them as usual. A lot of their hard work is done. It's only 2 weeks before Cheltenham. A lot of these horses, their hard work is definitely done. And I think it'd be fine. I do think it would be fine. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. I would probably go and buy myself some feed that Gordon uses just to keep them on the same thing. But we've also got to bring into account here, because I've heard people saying this is impossible to do. 2 or 3 days before these horses run at Cheltenham, we put them on a boat and we bring them over to a brand new yard in Cheltenham and keep them there for 2 to 3 days. So you can't tell me that this is impossible 2 weeks before Cheltenham when we bring them over to a brand new yard that they've never seen before, most of them, 2 or 3 days before. So yeah, I'm not having it as impossible anyway.
I'll put a question to you that you touched on there. Just the fact that we are so close to Cheltenham. If it came out that Irish Racing Board said that, Gordon, your license is suspended for X amount of time, with it being so close to Cheltenham, do they ban him from the yard and leave the stable staff take over, headed by, say, this is just off the top of my head, Jamie Codd or Davy Russell heading it? Would it not be upsetting they're upsetting them altogether? This is just speculating, throwing out a question at you.
Yeah, no, I've heard that a bit as well, and it just doesn't sit well with me, and I don't think they're just going to let it happen that lightly. I don't think they're just going to say, "Oh, Gordon, you can't turn up to your yard that you own for a few days, and let somebody else take over the running of it." I just don't. I don't think that's going to happen. That's just a personal opinion. But yeah, I don't know. It's mad. I just wanted to say, just on the statement, actually, kind of skipped over that a little bit. I thought the statement on Saturday night said all you needed to know. Mm-hmm. If, as I said yesterday, if that was me and I was accused of that, I'd come out with a statement saying I'm completely innocent of this and I'm going to cooperate fully to prove that I am and keep my good name. He didn't do that. Now we know why. And then the statement yesterday, it was poor from a number of angles. The first off, that people will say, Tom, who gives a shit? He didn't name the horse, and he didn't tell you whose horse that was. Yeah. And he didn't apologize to the owners of the horse. And that disappointed me. Some people will say, get over yourself. But just from a personal point of view, from somebody who's saying, I made one massive mistake, I'm so sorry. He says in his statement that it was a sad time. I just don't know how you go from a sad time of that horse dying to, let's say, 5 minutes later, you're sat on it, looking up, posing for a photo, giving the peace fingers. I don't know how that goes through somebody's head. And I just think the whole thing lacks compassion. I didn't think there was any compassion in the statement, to be honest.
It was like a statement just thrown together, and we'll get away with this, throw it out there, it'll be grand. it's just made things worse. It undermines. Just undermines people in not even a racing industry, people outside. They think that putting out a statement like that is okay. Not apologizing, as you said, to the owner of the horse, to the people that look after it in the yard. To me, just scream bullshit.
The other thing as well is the caption on the photo and who took the photo. I think these are questions he maybe needs to answer as well. I think who took the photo is an interesting one. Lots and lots of rumors going around. Who knows? But I'd say it's a key member of staff. You'd imagine. To be honest, I say that it could be anyone. It could literally be anyone. But at some stage, the caption "new work rider this morning" or something like that has been put on the image. And that's that the whole thing. You put all of that together, and it questions. And I'm not saying there is a bad one, but it does question the culture in that yard. If the top staff in that yard are willing to sit on a dead horse and pose for a picture, and then someone's willing to Snapchat it and put a caption "new work rider this morning" on it, the culture needs to be questioned there for me. If that was a big company, if we were talking about a big company and this happened, the culture of that company would be questioned. Yeah. And that's not reflecting on the staff. I'm very keen. I don't want to blame the lower down staff here at all. It's a bloody hard job. I've done it myself. Done it myself for years. Up early, bed late, go racing. Bloody hard. Out in all weather. Paid little money in most cases. Not their fault. But yeah, look, it wasn't the statement I would have put out.
No, and it's sad for everyone involved. It's like you'd feel sorry in the stable staff, because if it comes out and he's getting suspended, their jobs are more or less gone as of the second it's announced. Because the horses, every horse in there is going to be taken out by every owner.
Oh, breaking news!
Oh, I love this.
Gordon Elliott has at 8:34 given David Jennings in the Racing Post an exclusive interview. Yeah, the headline is "I'll spend my life paying for indefensible moment of madness." Sub-headline then is "When your world starts crumbling in front of you, it's a scary place to be." Jesus. I just hope people can understand how truly sorry I am.
That it?
No. There's a whole interview. I'm just reading what he said now. If you want to keep talking.
So what? Well, we wait. This is like
okay. So his. Oh Jesus. Okay, his quote is quite long. I'm not going to be able to read out the whole thing, but
but you can. You're good at reading.
No, I can't.
This on your list now?
Yeah.
So anyone just tuned in now, Gordon is doing an interview on the Racing Post with David Jennings, and Tom is just siphoning through to get a few points out of it. But there's still no word from the Irish Racing Board on what's happening yet. The BHA have come out and banned him while he's under investigation from having any runners in the UK. So this is looking like Gordon Elliott is going to have no runners at Cheltenham this year, or even Aintree. So your guess is as good as mine as how it's going to unfold in the next few days. But Tom is going through the interview now that he's after doing with the Racing Post, and I'm running out of words to say.
Yeah, it's a bit more compassionate. It is. He says at the bottom that he got a text just before the second last Fairy House saying it was him. Initial reaction was that it couldn't have been, but then he realised it was. A lot of people were telling me to say it was Photoshop, but the one thing I've always been told in life is that you start telling lies, you will end up telling lies for the rest of your life. I instantly realised the magnitude of the situation and thought about all that I'd worked so fard hard for. I bought my yard 9 years ago, and the day I bought it, I didn't even have the deposit to pay for it. I've worked so hard to get where I am today. My heart goes out to all my staff. I know how hard they work. I know that I've not only let them down, but I've let the whole of the racing industry down too. That is to my stupidity, and I'm truly, truly sorry. Yeah, we're improving anyway. And do you know what? Actually, I'm going to say this now, and I've no evidence of this, obviously, again, but that actually sounds like he's given David Jennings an interview and spoken to him. The statement sounds like he's obviously getting legal advice. The statement sounded so pre-prepared.
It's a statement where you can't.
I actually take that interview a lot better.
It sounded more genuine.
Yeah, that it sounds more genuine, and I think you have to actually sound more genuine here. Pre-release statements that say it was a sad time, and then I just decided to sit down and take a phone call, wind people up more than they do any good. If you're going to come out and say something, say it from the heart, you know. Look, we'll just have to see what happens. I think he's facing a ban. I think he probably realizes that himself now. The length of that ban, you said 18 months. I think there's a point I'd maybe say somewhere in between that. I'd be saying somewhere between maybe six and a year, something like that. I imagine 6 months is my gut feeling, and a fine. Yeah, it's just such a shame that racing gets dragged through the mud, because I'm not from a racing background, so I spend all my time that anything happens telling all of my family that you know, horse racing isn't like that. The horses are looked after so well at home and all this. And regardless of whether they are or aren't at Gordon Elliott's yard, and my gut feeling is that they are very well looked after. You produce an image of a top 2 trainer sat on a dead horse on the phone posing with his fingers up. You can't defend that. You can't defend that. I've had everybody on to me with a comment about this. It's on the bloody 6-1 news here. I've got the teenager in the house who wouldn't bloody watch a bloody horse race if you paid him, saying, "What's this about Gordon Elliott?" It's on Sky News. It's terrible.
I think we leave it on that then. There's not much more.
Yeah. Not much more. I think we've covered everything there. It's a horrible, horrible photo. I can't believe he did it, to be honest. Just sick. It's sick. But somebody said there's a few comments actually. Anti-post bets. I think you'll get justice refunds.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think you'll get justice refunds. I wouldn't be worried if your horse is trained by Gordon Elliott and he's not allowed to have runners. I imagine you'll get a justice refund. I also imagine some horses will move and they will still run.
Just on that, off the top of your head, I don't know now, so I'm only asking you the question. How long is it a process of changing over trainership?
Oh, you'll get it done in a day. I know a friend of mine actually claimed a horse on a Thursday. Horse won a claiming race on a Thursday night and won for him on the Saturday. So
if there is change of ownership, you're better, all right, lads.
All that is fine. Any change of ownership is fine, as long as it's done in the next 10 days. It's fine. Yeah. But it will be. Jesus, if they're going to move, they're going to move soon.
I say the last day they'll move will be Friday, to have them settle in before they go over.
I think we're going to know more, but I think the BHA are taking a stance on this that he won't have runners at Cheltenham from the looks of the BHA stance.
So hopefully we'll actually know more by Wednesday when we do our weekend review, and we can have a chat about it more. By the looks of it, we're going to know a lot more by Wednesday. So last word to you, Tom.
Just really horrible situation as my number one position as a horse lover, and I can't fathom how anybody thought that was okay to do. It's a shocking image that is going to haunt It's going to haunt Gordon Elliott. It's going to haunt horse racing for a long, long time. It's a sad day for the sport that a licensed trainer at any stage, be it however many years ago, thought that was okay to do. And we're going to have to move on. Everyone moves on. We always move on. But I think he deserves to get a ban for it. He's brought the integrity into disrepute, no doubt. And I just think we'll go from there. But it's just my overall feeling is sad. It's just sad. Everything about this is sad. Sad for the staff. Sad for the horse laying on the ground. Sad the horse still hasn't got a name. Sad there's no apology to the owners.
The anger's even gone. It's just it's disappointing that for some reason horse racing does he always find a way for something to bring it through the mud, and it's usually from outside parties. But this side, it's imploding from the inside.
And I think the key thing with this is if you're comparing it to other stuff, lads, there's an image. It's one thing to say there's somebody drugged the horse. That just goes over your head. You can look at an image, and that's the problem. Yeah.
Right. On that note, we'll wrap it up here. So again, lads, thanks for joining us again tonight for talking about this dark day in racing. So hopefully there's brighter days ahead. And you'll see myself and Tom and Dave will be back on Wednesday with us. So again, lads, thanks for watching. Keep commenting below what you think will happen, and I'll get back to as many as I can with what I think and what Tom thinks. So again, lads, thanks for watching, and we see you again on Wednesday for our weekend preview.